You're lying in bed. It's 2 a.m. The room is dark, the house is quiet, and your body is ready to sleep. Then it happens. A memory surfaces, not from yesterday, not from last week, from 11 years ago. You said something stupid at a party. You tripped in front of someone you wanted to impress. You sent a text to the wrong person, and just like that, your face is hot, your chest tightens, and sleep is gone. The memory plays again, then again, and no matter how hard you try to push it away, your brain just will not let it go. Why does that happen? Why can your brain recall a 10-second moment of social failure from over a decade ago with perfect, agonizing clarity, while you can barely remember what you had for lunch 3 days ago? The answer is not a flaw. It is a feature. And once you understand what your brain is actually doing, embarrassment will never feel quite the same again. Your brain does not record memories the way a camera records video. It does not store everything equally. It curates, it selects, it decides in fractions of a second what is worth keeping and what gets discarded forever. And the system it uses to make that decision is not based on what you want to remember. It is based on what it thinks you need to survive. Psychologists call this the self-referential effect. Studies going back to the 1970s, including foundational work by Timothy Rogers and his colleagues at the University of Toronto, consistently show that information connected to the self is remembered far more vividly and durably than information about anything else. Your name, your face, your behavior, your social standing, these things get processed differently. They go deeper, they stick. But here is the part most people miss. It is not just self-relevance that makes a memory stick. It is the combination of self-relevance and threat. And to your brain, a brain shaped by hundreds of thousands of years of social evolution, embarrassment is not just an unpleasant feeling. It is a threat signal, a warning that something has gone wrong in your relationship with your group. Think about what embarrassment actually is. Your face flushes, your heart rate spikes, your attention narrows. These are not random reactions. They are ancient. They are the same physiological storm that activates when your body detects danger. Your nervous system does not fully distinguish between a physical threat and a social one. Both feel like emergencies. Neuroscientist Joseph Ledoux spent decades mapping the brain's fear circuitry, and his research revealed something striking. The amygdala, the almond-shaped cluster of neurons deep in your temporal lobe, responds to social humiliation the same way it responds to the sight of a predator. The signal it sends is identical. Danger is here. Remember this. Do not let this happen again. This is the engine behind your most persistent cringe memories. The amygdala flags the moment as high priority. It communicates directly with the hippocampus, the brain's memory consolidation center, and essentially says, burn this in. The more emotionally charged the moment, the more deeply encoded the memory becomes. Fear sharpens memory. Embarrassment, which is fear in a social costume, does the same thing. But why does the memory keep replaying? Why can't your brain simply file it away and move on? This is where a second mechanism enters. Psychologists call it the Zeigarnik effect, named after Soviet psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik, who noticed in the 1920s that waiters could remember incomplete orders in remarkable detail. But the moment an order was fulfilled, it vanished from memory almost immediately. The mind, she discovered, has a strong pull toward unresolved situations. An incomplete task creates a kind of cognitive loop. The brain returns to it again and again, not to torture you, but to find a resolution it never got. Your embarrassing memory is, to your brain, an unfinished problem. The social threat was detected. The repair was never fully confirmed. Your standing in the group was momentarily damaged, and your brain never received a clear signal that it was restored. So, the loop stays open. The memory keeps surfacing. Your brain is not replaying the moment for fun. It is looking for a way to close the loop. This is why the replays tend to come at night. During the day, your prefrontal cortex, the rational, executive part of your brain, is active and busy. It suppresses intrusive thoughts. It keeps the emotional brain in check. But when you lie down in the dark, when the stimulation stops and the prefrontal cortex quiets down, the emotional circuits beneath get louder, the amygdala reasserts itself, and the unresolved memories waiting in the queue begin to surface. This is not a malfunction. It is your brain doing maintenance, reviewing unresolved social threats, rehearsing different outcomes, running simulations of what you could have said, what you should have done, how you might handle it better next time. The discomfort you feel is the price of a system that is genuinely trying to protect you. Researcher Mark Baldwin at McGill University has studied what he calls the relational schema, the internalized mental model your brain maintains of how other people see you. His work shows that social self-evaluation is not a passive process. Your brain is constantly running background calculations about your position in the social world, how you are perceived, whether you are accepted or at risk of rejection. When something disrupts that calculation, a moment of public failure, a social stumble, a display of weakness, the system escalates. It demands resolution. And here is the counterintuitive twist. The people who suffer most from intrusive embarrassment memories are not the people with the weakest social skills. They are often the people who care most about connection, who have the most active social monitoring systems, who are the most deeply wired for belonging. The brain that cannot let go of your worst moments is the same brain that drives you toward your best relationships. The sensitivity is the same sensitivity. It cuts both ways. There is another layer beneath all of this, something older and stranger. Anthropologist Michael Gervais has argued that the fear of embarrassment, what he calls FOPO, the fear of other people's opinions, is not a modern neurosis. It is a Paleolithic survival system running inside a modern body. For your ancestors, social rejection was not just painful, it was potentially fatal. To be cast out from the group, to lose status, to be seen as unreliable or incompetent, in the world they lived in, that could mean no food, no shelter, no protection from predators. Your brain evolved to treat social threat with the same urgency as physical threat because, for most of human history, they were the same thing. You are not overreacting when an embarrassing memory makes your heart race. You are running ancient software. The threat detection system your ancestors used to navigate complex social hierarchies, the same system that helped them avoid exile and build alliances and stay alive, is now pointed at a text message you sent to the wrong contact. The mismatch is profound. The stakes have changed, but the machinery has not. So, what do you do with this? How do you close the loop that your brain insists on keeping open? Research by psychologist Ethan Kross at the University of Michigan points towards something surprisingly simple. When you replay an embarrassing memory, the angle of observation matters enormously. When you replay it from the first-person perspective, looking out through your own eyes at the moment it happened, the emotional intensity stays high. But when you mentally step back and observe yourself from a slight distance, watching yourself in the scene rather than being inside it, the emotional charge drops significantly. Kross calls this self-distancing. It gives the prefrontal cortex enough space to engage, enough distance for your rational brain to reframe the memory and help your emotional brain finally begin to let it go. The loop can close, but it closes when the brain receives something it has been waiting for. Not when you force the memory away, not when you suppress it or distract yourself. It closes when you give your brain a new evaluation, when you update the file, when the rational mind steps in and says, the threat has passed. The group is still here. You are still here. Tonight, when you are lying in the dark and something surfaces, some flicker of your most cringeworthy, most perfectly preserved moment, remember what is actually happening. Your brain is not tormenting you. It is not broken. It is doing exactly what it was built to do. It is keeping you alive in the only world it has ever known, a world where belonging was everything, where status was survival, where a single social misstep could cost you everything. You are lying in bed. It is 2 a.m. The room is dark, the house is quiet, and somewhere deep in your temporal lobe, an ancient system is running. It flagged a threat. It stored the memory. It has been waiting, patiently, for you to tell it that you are safe. Tell it you made it through. The loop can close now. This is Stickman Science. If this video made your brain do something interesting, hit like. And if you want more of the strange science hiding inside everyday life, subscribe. See you in the next one.